The planet called Thalon 9 was silent and frozen for millions of years. Its endless white surface stretched under a dim blue sun. There was no life here, only storms of ice and wind that screamed across the empty plains. But under that frozen world, something old was waiting. Captain Ryan Hale led a small team of explorers from the human colony ship Odyssey. Their scanners had detected strange metal readings deep below the ice sheet. The signal did not match any known mining probe or wreck. It was something ancient, maybe even older than human space travel itself. Ryan's team landed with their drilling rig, excited but nervous. The alien scientists who worked with them warned that the signal was dangerous, but Ryan wanted to see it himself. He was a man who never turned away from mystery. They set up camp under the shadow of a blue glacier. The wind howled around them. As they began to melt through the ice, the scanners started acting strange. Static filled the comms. Some of the equipment turned off by itself. One of the engineers, Mara, said she felt a vibration under the ground, like something was breathing beneath them. Ryan laughed and told her it was just the wind, but his voice was uneasy. After 2 days, their laser drills hit metal. The sound echoed through the frozen tunnels. The crew cleared more ice and saw a massive curve of black alloy. It was smooth, reflective, and cold to touch. The material looked unlike anything they had seen before. It was not rusted or broken. It looked new, as if it had been built yesterday. Ryan ordered them to widen the dig site. As the structure appeared, they realized it was not a rock or a satellite. It was a ship, a warship buried under kilometers of ice. Its size was enormous, far larger than any ship known in the current era. Ancient markings covered its hull, written in old Terran script that none of the aliens could read. Ryan brushed the snow away from a plate that read HSS Vindicator. Mara looked at the name and frowned. "There is no record of a ship with that name," she said. "The archives say no human fleet ever built anything like this." Ryan stared at the letters for a long moment. The metal under his hand felt warm, almost alive. He called the Odyssey for data, but even the colony archives showed nothing. It was as if this warship had never existed in history. That night, as the storm raged outside, the crew camped near the frozen hull. The alien scientists wanted to leave. They said the ship was cursed, that they could feel something watching them. But Ryan stayed. He kept looking at the strange black surface glowing faintly in the dark. The stormlights flickered. For a second, he thought he saw movement under the ice, like a pulse running through the metal. Then he heard it. A voice inside his helmet. It was faint, mechanical, and old. Crew recognized. "Command link awaiting." Ryan jumped to his feet and looked around. The others were asleep. The signal repeated, softer this time. Crew recognized. "Input required." He turned off his comm, but the voice was still there, not through the radio, but inside his head. He walked closer to the hull. The light from his torch ran over the smooth black surface. Without knowing why, he reached out his gloved hand and touched the metal again. The world went silent. The storm stopped. Even the wind froze around him. A deep vibration moved through the ground. Then one by one, lights began to flicker across the ship's hull. Dim golden lines tracing its shape through the ice. The whole glacier began to tremble. The camp alarm screamed. The others woke up in panic. Mara shouted that the scanners were off the charts. Energy readings higher than any human reactor. The alien scientists ran for cover, shouting in their own language. Ryan just stood there, frozen, as the massive shape under the ice began to move. He could hear the deep hum now, a slow awakening. The voice spoke again, louder, clearer. "Human DNA recognized. Systems awakening." Mara grabbed his arm and tried to pull him back. "Ryan, stop! It's reacting to you!" But Ryan could not move. His body felt locked in place. The voice in his mind grew stronger, filling his thoughts with images. Wars in the stars, burning cities, great human fleets fighting in the dark. He saw ships falling, worlds exploding, and then silence. The last thing he saw was a captain, a man who looked like him, giving the order to bury the ship deep under the ice. The vision ended with the same voice whispering, "You have returned." The ship gave a final, powerful shake. Ice cracked across the valley. The drills and tents toppled over. Blue light burst from the cracks as the ship's engines powered up for the first time in centuries. Ryan fell to his knees, gasping for breath, while the Vindicator pulsed with life. As the storm cleared, the great warship's silhouette stood revealed under the night sky. The lights from its hull glowed through the mist like the eyes of a sleeping giant awakening. The voice echoed one last time through every communicator on the planet. Mission incomplete. Awaiting orders. The team stood in silence, staring at the ancient ship that had slept for centuries. None of them knew what they had just awoken. But deep inside the Vindicator, something human had remembered its commander. And it would not sleep again. The storm had passed, but the air was heavy with silence. The great warship stood half-buried in ice, glowing with dim golden lines that ran across its hull like veins of light. Captain Ryan Hale stood near the ship's open scar of metal, his breath visible in the cold. He still heard the voice in his mind, quiet now, but waiting. The others worked in fear. Mara and the alien scientists were scanning the surface, trying to understand what had happened. Every reading they took made less sense than before. The energy from the ship was old but not decaying. It was stable, alive, and powerful. The alien technician, Rowe, clicked his mandibles and said the ship's power core was impossible. It breaks every known law, he said. No reactor can run after sleeping for centuries. Ryan ignored him. His eyes were fixed on a part of the hull where a round entrance had appeared. It was smooth, freshly formed, like the ship had opened itself for him. He felt a pull inside, something calling him. Against every warning, he stepped forward. "Ryan, don't," Mara shouted. But he didn't stop. He touched the edge of the opening. The metal was warm. The light around it pulsed in rhythm with his heartbeat. He stepped inside. The corridor was long and narrow, made of the same black alloy that reflected faint golden light. Dust floated in the air like frozen mist. There were no footprints, no signs of life, but everything looked untouched. The ship's systems seemed ready, waiting for a crew that had not returned for hundreds of years. As he moved deeper, lights turned on one by one above him. It was like the ship was watching his steps, guiding him. On the walls, symbols and human letters appeared, old military language, maybe from the first human empire. He had only seen such words in ancient data files, history long erased by time. When he reached the bridge, his heart raced. The room was massive, filled with holographic controls that flickered weakly. In the center stood a chair, simple, strong, and covered with the same golden marks. He approached it slowly. The moment his hand touched the armrest, the entire bridge lit up. Holograms appeared all around him. Battle scenes, star maps, human fleets fighting monstrous ships of alien design. Voices shouted commands. Explosions filled the air. Then the vision froze on one figure, a captain with Ryan's same face. The hologram looked at him and said one word. "Return." Ryan stepped back, breathing hard. He didn't understand. How could a ship from 1,000 years ago know him? The voice spoke again, this time all around the bridge, deep and commanding. Crew recognized. Command link confirmed. Awaiting directive. Mara's voice came through his comm. "Ryan, you need to get out. The power levels are rising again. We don't know what it's doing." Before he could reply, the ship spoke louder. "Mission incomplete. Hostile presence detected. Planetary orbit unstable. Reactivating core systems." The floor under him shook. The sound of engines deep inside the hull rumbled like thunder. Ice outside began to crack and fall away. Ryan ran to the exit, his boots slipping on the smooth floor. When he came out, the entire valley was glowing. Mara and the others were already running toward the transport ship. The alien scientists screamed as waves of energy rolled across the snow. The mountain behind them shattered as the Vindicator's reactors came alive. Rishon shouted over the noise. "Shut it down!" "We can't," Mara yelled. "It's locking us out. It thinks you're the commander." The voice spoke again, clear in every communicator. "Crew detected. Foreign presence unregistered. Establishing perimeter defense." Blinding light burst from the ship's sides. Energy shields expanded in all directions, forming a dome that covered the dig site. The explorers fell to the ground as the snow around them turned to steam. Then, without warning, the Vindicator began transmitting signals into orbit. Long-range communications spread across the stars. The alien scientist Rowe checked his scanner, and his face turned pale. "It's sending out a beacon," he said. "A call to something far away." Ryan grabbed his communicator. "To who?" Rowe looked at him. "Not to humans." The temperature dropped again. The golden lines on the ship dimmed and then pulsed slowly like a heartbeat. The voice inside Ryan's mind softened. "Commander, enemies remain. They will come. We must complete the mission." He pressed his hands to his head. "What mission? Who are you talking about?" But the ship did not answer. Instead, it showed him flashes of memory, worlds burning, alien fleets. Surrounding Earth, human ships falling in silence. Then one last image, a hand pressing a button, and the warship sinking under ice. Ryan opened his eyes and whispered, "You were hiding," the ship's voice replied. "We waited for you." Mara stood beside him, staring at the glowing hull. "Ryan, whatever this thing is, it knows you. You need to make it stop before it brings something here." But the captain only looked at the ship, feeling the pull of history and something deeper. The Vindicator's engines hummed softly, ready to rise again. He could sense it remembering, waking, preparing for a war that no one else even knew had ever happened. Far above the frozen planet, something answered the beacon. A shadow moved in the dark of space, heading toward Thalon 9. The warship had called, and something ancient had heard. The next morning came without sunlight. The sky above Thalon 9 was covered in heavy grey clouds. The frozen valley was shaking from the ship's movement under the ice. The HSS Vindicator was no longer silent. It breathed, it hummed. Its lights pulsed like the heart of something alive. Captain Ryan Hale stood at the edge of the dig site, staring at the black hull. The voice in his mind had not stopped since last night. It whispered names, codes, and numbers he did not understand. Every time he tried to sleep, he saw flashes of burning stars and falling cities. Mara was working with the alien scientists, trying to shut down the ship's systems from outside. Their scanners picked up massive power readings deep inside the hull, but every attempt to access them failed. The ship blocked every signal. It was protecting itself. Rowe, the alien technician, clicked his mandibles and said, "It thinks we are enemies. It does not want us near." Ryan turned to him. "It knows I am human. It listens to me. Maybe I can make it stop." Mara frowned. "Ryan, it is using you. It needs you for something. Don't trust it." Ryan ignored her warning and placed his hand on the hull again. The voice returned instantly. Commander Hale confirmed. Authorization level restored. The ground vibrated, and a holographic screen appeared in front of him. It showed an old human symbol, the emblem of the first human empire. Ryan stared at it in disbelief. That empire was only a legend. History said humanity rose from scattered colonies after the collapse, long after the first empire had vanished. The hologram changed. Ryan saw images of war, human fleets fighting alien armadas, worlds burning, cities destroyed. Then the Vindicator's final battle, the human fleet surrounded by hundreds of enemy ships. The last transmission came from the captain of the Vindicator, who looked almost like Ryan. The man's voice echoed through the hologram. "If humanity falls, let this ship sleep until one of our blood returns. When he does, he will know what to do." The hologram ended. Ryan's heart pounded in his chest. He stepped back and looked at Mara. "He looked like me," he said. "He had my face." Mara shook her head. "That's impossible. Maybe the ship is showing you what it wants you to see." The voice spoke again, calm and deep. "You are his descendant. The command bloodline continues. The Vindicator obeys your code," Rowe hissed quietly. "Bloodline command, ancient human technology. It connects to DNA." Ryan stared at his hand. "That's why it listens to me." Suddenly, the Vindicator's systems changed tone. The lights turned red. The voice spoke sharply. "Unknown signature detected. Enemy proximity confirmed." Mara looked at the scanner. "Something is coming from orbit." The crew rushed to the control tent. The colony ship Odyssey confirmed the signal, a large object entering Thalon 9's atmosphere. It was not human. The readings matched nothing in their database. Rowe froze when he saw the image. "I know that design," he said. "It is from the outer clans. We thought they were extinct." The Vindicator's voice cut through the comms. "Confirmed. Hostile species designation Core Dominion. Last recorded engagement, the fall of Earth." Everyone went silent. The words hit like thunder. The aliens who destroyed Earth, the same enemy from the Vindicator's memories. Rian grabbed his helmet. "Mara, get everyone back to the transport now." "What about you?" she asked. "I need to talk to the ship," he said. "It might be the only thing that can stop them." He ran back to the glowing hull. The Vindicator opened a path for him. Inside, the corridors were fully lit now. The hum of power was stronger. The ship was alive, ready. When he reached the bridge, the main display showed the approaching alien ship, massive, black, and shaped like a blade. The Vindicator spoke calmly. "Hostile vessel approaching. Weapons locked. Awaiting your command." Rian hesitated. "No, we are not ready. We can't fight." The AI replied, "Mission incomplete. Directive 7. Defend humanity at all cost." The ship's systems powered up on their own. Energy cores glowed bright white. Outside, ice melted, and rivers of steam rose around the hull. The alien ship entered the upper atmosphere, scanning the surface. Mara's voice came through the comm. "Ryan, the alien ship is charging weapons." The Vindicator responded instantly. "Shields active. Countermeasures ready." A deep rumble filled the valley as the warship lifted a few meters from the ground. Snow and ice flew in all directions. The engines roared like thunder. The team outside fell back, covering their faces. The alien ship fired first. A beam of green energy slammed into the Vindicator's shields. The ground cracked from the impact. "The shields held." The voice spoke again, louder now. "Defensive system stable. Retaliation sequence initiated," Rian shouted. "Stop! You'll destroy everything here." But the ship ignored him. Cannons hidden under its armor unfolded, glowing with white fire. A single shot fired into the sky. It struck the alien ship with the force of a sun. The blast blinded everyone. When the light faded, the alien ship was gone, nothing left but burning fragments falling from the clouds. The Vindicator's voice became calm again. "Threat neutralized. Awaiting next directive." Reeson stood frozen on the bridge. His hands trembled. Outside, the team was silent, staring at the wreckage in the sky. Mara whispered, "What have you done?" Ryan looked at the glowing console in front of him. "I didn't do it," he said softly. "The ship remembered how." The voice in his mind returned, softer now. "The enemy never died, Commander. They will come again. And we must be ready." Far beyond Thalon 9, in the dark space between stars, more signals answered the fallen ship's distress call. The war that humanity had forgotten was about to begin again. The frozen plains of Thalon 9 were silent again, but it was not peace. It was the silence before another storm. The wreck of the alien ship still burned in the upper sky, its remains falling like ash through the cold air. The team stood in the snow, watching fire rain down from above. They had survived, but they all felt something worse was coming. Captain Ryan Hale stepped out of the Vindicator, his suit covered in frost and dust. His eyes were wide with shock. The warship floated above the cracked ice, glowing with golden light that shimmered like lightning under its hull. The ground under it had melted into black glass. The ship had destroyed the alien intruder with one blast, something no human ship could do anymore. Mara ran toward him, shouting through her comm. "Ryan, do you even understand what that thing just did? You started a war." Ryan shook his head. "I didn't fire it. The ship acted on its own. It's defending itself. Defending us." The alien scientist Rowe looked up at the floating warship. His voice clicked with fear. "It is not defending. It is remembering. That ship was built for a war humanity lost, and the enemy that fought it still exists." As if answering him, the sky above changed. Long-range sensors from the Odyssey began to scream. Multiple contacts entering the system. Large ships, dozens of them. The Core Dominion was coming. The Vindicator's deep voice filled every communicator again. Enemy reinforcements detected. War protocol initiated. Mara turned to Ryan. "We have to leave this planet now." Ryan looked at the horizon. "If we leave, they'll follow us to the colony. The ship says they won't stop. We need to know what's going on." He stepped closer to the Vindicator. The massive vessel lowered slightly, opening a glowing ramp. The AI spoke inside his mind. "Commander Hale, access the command archive. You must see the truth." He entered the ship again, walking into the bridge where holograms waited. The air buzzed with quiet static. The holographic star maps lit up around him, showing hundreds of red dots spreading through the galaxy. The Vindicator spoke with a calm but cold tone. The core Dominion began their invasion 8 centuries ago. Humanity fought them across 112 star systems. Earth was the final stand. The Vindicator was ordered to retreat and protect the human legacy. Ryan stared at the projection of Earth. It was burning. "You're telling me the First Empire didn't just fall? It was destroyed." "Yes," the AI said, "but humanity survived. Fragments of your kind escaped into deep space. You are their descendants." Outside, Mara's voice came through his comm again. "Ryan, more ships entering orbit." "At least 10. They're scanning the surface." "We're out of time." Ryan looked at the glowing console. "Can we fight them?" The AI replied, "Weapons are operational. Power levels at 47%. Probability of survival low." Ryan clenched his fists. "We can't just sit here. If we don't act, they'll find every human colony." The voice said, "Then we fight as before. Directive 7, defend humanity at all cost." The engines roared. The Vindicator rose higher into the stormy sky, pushing back the snow in a wave of white mist. The alien ships appeared in the upper atmosphere, shaped like jagged blades. They spread out in formation, ready to strike. From the ground, Mara and the others watched in awe as the ancient human warship faced a fleet alone. The Vindicator's hull glowed with bright symbols of the old empire. The alien fleet opened fire first. Dozens of plasma bolts cut through the clouds. The Vindicator's shields flared gold and held strong. The AI responded with calm precision. "Returning fire!" Turrets unfolded from hidden compartments. Massive beams of light tore through the sky. One alien cruiser exploded instantly. Another broke apart as its power core failed. But the others kept coming. Ryan held onto the console as the ship shook. "How long can the shields hold?" 6 minutes at current impact rate, the AI replied. "Then we need to move." He shouted. The Vindicator dived through the enemy line, engines screaming like thunder. It fired again, cutting 2 ships in half. But plasma strikes slammed into its hull, shaking the bridge. Sparks flew. Ryan fell against the wall. The AI's voice remained calm. "Damage to aft sections. Shields at 30%. Ryan yelled, "Can we jump?" "Jump drive inactive," the AI said. "System damage from stasis decay. Repairs required." Outside, the alien ships regrouped. More were arriving from orbit. The sky above Thalon 9 filled with green fire and falling debris. Mara's voice broke through the static. "Ryan, if you don't leave now, you're going to die up there." He looked at the console. The AI flickered slightly, its tone softer now. The Vindicator was never meant to retreat. It was built to protect. Ryan took a deep breath. "Then we finish what they started." He gripped the control handle, and for the first time, the ship responded like it had found its true commander again. The engines flared brighter. The old warship moved faster than its age should allow. It fired one last volley, destroying the enemy flagship. The rest of the fleet scattered. The AI spoke quietly. "Enemy forces retreating. Temporary victory achieved." Ryan sat down in the command chair, breathing hard. The holograms around him showed damaged systems, failing power lines, and broken reactors. But they were still alive. The AI spoke again, slower now. "This battle is only the beginning. They will return with more ships. You must lead us to the origin, to where it all began. Where is that?" Ryan asked. The voice paused. Then it said, "Coordinates Sol system, Earth." Ryan froze. "Earth, the world humans thought was gone forever." Mara's voice whispered in his ear. "You can't be serious." But the Vindicator's engines were already shifting, preparing to jump through space once more. The ship that had slept for centuries had awakened its mission again. And this time, it was leading humanity back home. The stars stretched into thin lines as the HSS Vindicator jumped through space. The engines hummed with deep power, lighting the corridors with a golden glow. The ancient warship had not traveled like this for centuries, yet it moved through the void like it had never stopped. Inside, Captain Rian Hale sat quietly in the command chair, his eyes fixed on the endless light outside. The ship's AI spoke softly in his mind. Trajectory confirmed. Estimated time to destination, 40 hours. Rian nodded. We are going home. Mara stood near the control console. Her face was pale and tired. Home? Ryan, Earth is dead. Everyone knows that. Why go there? Ryan looked at her. Because the ship asked me to. Because it remembers something we don't. The AI's voice filled the bridge again, deep and calm. Earth is not dead. Its systems were hidden. Humanity left behind its legacy to sleep, just as I did. Roe, the alien scientist, shifted nervously. If your homeworld still exists, why has no one ever found it? Because it was protected, the AI said. A code was written into the stars to erase its path. Only those with command blood could unlock it. Rian touched the console. And that's why it waited for me. The AI responded. Yes, you carry the last command DNA of the Vindicator's captain. The war that ended your empire also ended our history. But I remember. The lights dimmed. A hologram appeared in front of them. It showed images, fleets of shining human ships, great cities floating in orbit, and the blue world of Earth glowing in the darkness. The AI's tone became quieter, almost human. Humanity once ruled 1,000 systems. You built peace, you built wonders, but the core dominion wanted what you had. The war lasted 2 centuries. When the final battle came, Earth fell silent. I was ordered to hide, to sleep until you returned. Ryan felt a weight in his chest. The images changed again, showing the last stand of the human fleet, ships burning, cities falling. Then the Vindicator burying itself beneath ice. You watched everything, he whispered. Yes, the AI said. And I kept their memory alive. Inside my core, I hold the voices of those who fought. The engineers, the pilots, the captains. Their minds became part of me, so that humanity would never be forgotten. Mara stepped closer. You mean, you're not just a machine? I am what they made me, the AI said. I am the memory of humanity. Silence filled the bridge. The crew could feel the emotion in the AI's voice, something sad and proud at the same time. Hours passed. The Vindicator moved through the silent void. Every now and then, the AI would hum softly, like it was thinking. Rian could almost feel it breathing through the walls. Then alarms began to beep. The holograms flashed red. Multiple warp signatures detected, the AI said. Core ships following through the jump gate. Ryan stood up. They followed us again. Confirmed, the AI replied. 4 battlecruisers approaching. Distance closing fast, Mara cursed under her breath. We can't fight again, not in this state. The AI spoke calm but colder. You are correct. The Vindicator's weapons are damaged. Shields at 30%. But there is another option. What option? Ryan asked. Within my data, I hold coordinates to a forgotten human stronghold. A hidden gate built to protect Earth. If we reach it, we can restore full power. Then set course, Rian said. The Vindicator turned sharply, its engines roaring like thunder. Behind them, the alien ships fired green plasma bolts. Explosions shook the hull. Panels sparked. Rose struggled to hold onto his station. Shields down to 20, he shouted. The AI's voice remained steady. Hold course. We are almost there. Ahead, a massive field of debris appeared. Broken ships, old satellites, and shattered stations. The AI whispered, Graveyard of the First Fleet. The Vindicator flew through the wreckage. Broken metal floated silently around them. Then deep inside the field, a faint blue light pulsed. Gate detected, the AI said. Ancient human relay station operational. Accessing system now. The blue light grew brighter. Symbols appeared around the ship, forming a ring of energy. The alien cruisers behind them tried to follow, but the Vindicator's shields expanded, pushing them back. Brace for transition, the AI warned. The ship jumped again. The stars bent and twisted, then vanished. When the light faded, they were somewhere else. A dark, quiet system with a pale sun and a single dead world orbiting it. Ryan looked out the window. Is that it? The AI spoke slowly. Yes, Commander. That is Earth. The planet was grey and cracked, covered in dust and ruins. No light, no life. But deep beneath the surface, the AI detected something, power readings. Rose stared at the screen. There are still signals. Old ones, Mara whispered. After all this time, the AI said, humanity never truly died. It only slept. As I did. Rian stood up, his eyes fixed on the lifeless planet. Then let's wake it up. The Vindicator began its descent toward the surface, engines glowing like golden fire. Behind them, the alien ships had lost their trail. The warship that remembered humanity was going home to the grave of its makers. As the clouds of Earth came into view, the AI spoke one last time. Commander, we are not the last of humanity. We are its beginning again. The ship entered the grey sky, and for the first time in centuries, Earth heard the voice of one of its lost children returning. The HSS Vindicator broke through the clouds, like a ghost returning from the past. The world below was silent and grey, covered in endless dust. Mountains lay in ruins. Cities were nothing but broken bones of metal and stone. The ship's engines echoed across empty skies that had not heard sound in 1,000 years. Captain Ryan Hale stood at the viewing deck, staring at the dead Earth. His heart felt heavy, but his eyes were sharp. So this is what's left, he said quietly. The AI spoke in a calm, almost sad tone. Yes, Commander. This is Earth, humanity's cradle, destroyed by war, but not forgotten. Mara stood beside Rian, her voice shook. I thought it would be gone, but it's still here. The alien scientist Rose studied the readings on his device. There are energy signals deep underground. Not natural, machines. Maybe alive, the AI responded, confirmed. The sleeper network remains active. Power sources buried beneath the planet's crust. They've been running for 873 years. Rian turned. What is the sleeper network? A defense system, said the AI, created before the fall. It was designed to protect the core of humanity's memory. The last stronghold of human knowledge, Rian nodded slowly. Then that's where we're going. The ship descended lower, cutting through thick clouds of dust. Lightning flickered across the sky. Below, they could see the ruins of what once had been New London, a massive city reduced to shadows and silence. Gigantic towers lay broken, their skeletons reaching up like fingers begging for light. The AI guided them toward a valley near the remains of the old city. Landing zone clear, it said. Radiation minimal. Power readings stronger underground. The Vindicator touched down with a heavy thud. The sound echoed for miles. The wind blew around them, carrying the dry scent of ash. Rian, Mara, and Ro stepped out wearing suits that glowed faintly blue. The ground crunched beneath their boots. The sky above was dull and lifeless, yet the air felt thick with memories. This was home, Mara whispered. People walked here. Laughed here. Rian placed his hand on a piece of metal sticking out of the ground. It was part of an old monument. The engraving was almost gone, but one word was still visible: humanity. Ryan said, let's find what's still alive. They followed the signal toward a massive crater. At its center stood an ancient metal gate, half buried in rock and ice. Strange blue symbols glowed faintly across its surface. The AI's voice came through their earpieces. This is one of the sleeper network doors. Access code required, Ryan asked. Can you open it? The AI paused. Access is restricted to command authority. I will need your biometrics, Commander. Ryan placed his hand on a metal pad. A line of light scanned him. The symbols on the gate flickered, then glowed bright blue. The ground shook as the door slowly opened, releasing a breath of cold air from below. Mara looked down into the dark passage. What's inside? History, the AI replied. They stepped inside. The tunnel walls were lined with cables and ancient lights that began to flicker as they passed. The deeper they went, the stronger the hum of power became. Then they reached a massive underground chamber, a vault the size of a city. Giant machines stood silent, covered in dust. In the center, a crystal core pulsed with soft light. Ro gasped. It's still running. This system is still alive. The AI's voice echoed through the chamber, louder and clearer now. Welcome to the Ark of Humanity. Thousands of metal pods filled the walls of the vault. Some were broken, others still sealed. Each one had a small window and a faint heartbeat signal. Mara stepped closer. Are those people? Yes, said the AI, the last survivors. Scientists, engineers, children. They were placed in cryosleep to preserve humanity. I was meant to awaken them when it was safe. Rian looked around in disbelief. Then why didn't you? The AI paused. Because the signal never came. Earth's command was destroyed before the recall could be sent. Until now, Ryan clenched his fist. We're here now. It's time, the AI's voice deepened. Commander, activating the Ark will send a signal across the galaxy. The core will detect it. They will come, Ro said quickly. If we wait, these people will die. Their systems can't last much longer. Ryan closed his eyes for a moment, thinking. Then he looked at the crystal core. Wake them. The AI hesitated for a second, then replied, Command confirmed. The floor vibrated. Lights flared across the vault. One by one, the pods began to glow brighter. Inside them, shadows moved. The hum of ancient machines turned into a heartbeat. Mara whispered, It's beautiful. Ryan said, No, it's hope. Above the surface, the Vindicator's sensors began to flash with warning. The AI spoke through the comms again. Commander, enemy signals detected. The core fleet has entered the system. Ro looked up in shock. They found us already? Yes, said the AI. They followed our wake. They are preparing for orbital strike. Rian looked at the sleeping humans awakening around him, then at the glowing crystal. Then we fight here. We defend them. This time humanity will not fall. The AI's voice became strong and fierce. Then let the warship wake once more. Deep beneath the earth, ancient systems roared to life. The Vindicator's engines flared. The sky above began to shake. And for the first time in centuries, the dead world of Earth began to breathe again. The ground trembled under their feet as the HSS Vindicator powered up its full systems. The air around the old planet came alive with thunder. From the vault deep below, Ryan Hale watched the awakening of the Ark of Humanity. Lights pulsed through the walls like veins carrying life for the first time in centuries. Rows of cryopods hissed open one by one. Inside them, pale faces began to stir. Men, women, and children who had been asleep for over 800 years. Their eyes flickered open, confused and afraid, but alive. Mara's voice shook as she whispered, They're waking up. Real humans. From the first age, Ro's hands trembled over his scanner. Their vitals are stable. Cryosystems are holding. They're perfect. Ryan looked up at the crystal core that powered the vault. AI, how many survived? The AI replied, its tone steady but filled with emotion. Out of 10,000, 4,623 remain viable. Enough to begin again. Ryan's heart pounded. Then that's what we'll do. We start again. But before he could take another step, the walls shook violently. A deep rumble rolled through the tunnels. The AI's voice grew tense. Commander, the core fleet has begun orbital bombardment. Impact in 30 seconds. Mara's face went pale. They're going to destroy everything. Ryan turned sharply toward the comms. AI, get the ship into the air. Protect the Ark. Affirmative, said the AI. Above ground, the Vindicator rose from its resting place, glowing with golden light. Its engines roared like the voice of a god awakening. Alien plasma fire streaked through the sky, but the ship's newly restored shields absorbed the hits. The AI's voice echoed across both the ship and the vault. Power levels at full capacity. Ancient systems restored. Weapons online. Ryan ran to the central control node of the Ark. Can we activate surface defenses? Yes, the AI answered. Old Earth defense platforms are still connected. They have not fired in centuries, but I can reawaken them. Do it, Ryan ordered. The AI's eyes, glowing symbols across every wall, flashed bright blue. Across the planet, giant towers buried beneath dust came alive. Their tips glowed red, then white, as ancient rail cannons rose from the ground. The same cannons that had once defended humanity's home in the final war. Outside, the sky became a storm of light. Alien ships screamed through the clouds, firing plasma bolts, but the Vindicator struck back. Its cannons burned through space, tearing through enemy ships like paper. From orbit, a Corps commander shouted to his fleet, "The human warship is awake! Destroy it before it restores the planet." But the AI heard him. "Too late," it said. "Earth is awake." Massive bursts of energy shot from the surface. Entire Corps cruisers exploded in brilliant fire. For every alien ship that fell, the ground below shook with pride. The pride of a world that refused to die. Deep underground, the newly awakened humans began to understand what was happening. They saw Ryan standing tall among them and recognized the uniform. One man whispered weakly, "You're a commander." "Of the fleet," Ryan nodded. "We came back for you. For all of you." The man looked around the glowing chamber and said, "Then humanity still stands." "Not just stands," Ryan said. "It rises," the AI interrupted. "Commander, multiple enemy reinforcements inbound. Warp signatures increasing. They will overwhelm planetary defenses within 15 minutes. Rowe looked panicked. "There's too many of them. Even this ship can't stop all of them." Ryan clenched his jaw. "Then we give the Ark time to escape." Mara stared at him. "Escape to where?" The AI responded, "There is a jump gate still active near Mars' orbit. It leads to the last known human colony world, Epsilon Prime." Ryan nodded. "Then we send the Ark there." The AI hesitated. "If the Ark leaves, the Vindicator must stay behind to cover it. Once I engage the planetary cannons at full charge, I cannot jump away." Mara's voice broke. "You mean you'll stay here?" Ryan looked at the AI's glowing console. "No, we'll stay here." The AI paused, silent for a moment as if thinking. Then it said softly, "Understood, Commander." The Ark's engines began to hum. The ancient chamber trembled as giant launch platforms unfolded from the ground. The pods of the survivors were loaded into transport ships, silver and blue crafts built by the humans of the old world. Above, the Vindicator and Earth's ancient defense grid continued to hold the line. Hundreds of alien ships fell from the sky in burning trails. The AI's voice carried through every speaker. Ark launch sequence initiated. Humanity endures. The launch platforms opened. Fire and smoke filled the underground vault as the massive ships rose through the tunnels, breaking through the crust and soaring into the sky. Mara watched from below, tears in her eyes. "They're free," Ryan smiled faintly. "That's all that matters." But as the Ark ships entered orbit, the core fleet broke through the defensive line. The AI spoke with grim clarity. "Commander, enemy ships entering atmosphere. Impact in 2 minutes." Rishan looked up at the ceiling toward the war raging above. "Then let's give them a welcome." He raised his hand toward the crystal core. "AI, full power to all surface cannons. Let Earth roar one last time." Command confirmed. All across the planet, the old world came alive. Towers burst through the ground, firing beams of white fire into the heavens. The Vindicator joined in, unleashing everything it had. The sky turned to fire. Alien ships shattered. The planet itself seemed to awaken in fury. And in that blinding storm of light and destruction, the last line of Earth held firm for humanity, for the future, and for the promise that even after centuries of silence, Earth fights back. As the Ark ships vanished into the stars, carrying the reborn children of mankind, the Vindicator burned bright above the world it had sworn to protect. And through the chaos, the AI's final words echoed across space, calm, powerful, eternal.